This is Karen Lindwall-Borg, and today we have with us Marsha Sherrill, who I have met through coaching with Diane Cunningham. And at one of the VIP days where we got to spend, what a privilege it was, a lot of time together, I asked her what skills she might talk to us about from her corporate experience, which is very vast compared to mine for sure, that we could use as business and ministry entrepreneurs. And so she very graciously agreed to talk to us about that today. So her topic is transferable skills. And I'll introduce myself as host, and then so there won't be any noise interference, I'll mute myself and take my picture off, and she will give us her presentation and actually probably close us with prayer and a question and answer session and that sort of thing. So let me start us off with prayer and introduce me and then bow out. Thank you, Marsha, for being willing to do this. Father God, we're so grateful, first of all, that technology is working for us at this moment, and we would pray for it to be preserved throughout Marsha's presentation. We're grateful to have the privilege and freedoms to be entrepreneurs and business owners who can bring you glory and honor through what you've called us to do. What a blessing, what a privilege that is. And so I would pray for Marsha and for myself and our businesses, for all that we come in contact with, and for any who participate in this webinar and glean great information from her, that we would be blessed by you in our efforts, and that what we do would bring you glory and honor. That would be our greatest desire. And we ask these things in your son's name. Amen. We just watched Sherry Fitzpatrick of Buried in Chocolate do a seminar, and of course all the technology crashed and had to be restarted. So if it happens to us, that's exactly what we will do. We'll just plow forward and keep on as the great example that they gave us. You'll want to hear from her as well. We are Helping Professionals Alliance. Helping Professionals Alliance operates under the umbrella of Rhema Counseling Associates in McKinney and Dallas, Texas, where we do biblical counseling of all sorts, a very collaborative office with 9 associates, and we have a lot of fun and are greatly privileged to counsel in this area. And then we started a coaching networking company called Helping Professionals Alliance in the fall of 2013. So we're just a year and a half old. And our goal in Helping Professionals Alliance is just to support one another as entrepreneurs and business and ministry owners to build our businesses in a way that pleases the Lord. So in that slide, you have our contact information if you need it, and that's the only introduction that you need from us. So I'm going to turn everything over to Marsha.
Well, good morning, everyone. And Karen, I want to say just thank you for this amazing opportunity to talk to people about their skill. And, you know, the one thing I do love, and that is impart information to others and whatnot. And I think that meeting you with and through Diane has been such a blessing to me, and spending those 2 days together. We have, I know, coming up some more events that we will be spending time with. We just came back from an amazing conference, and so learning is one of my passions, and the greater passion, though, is taking what I learn and passing it on to people that need that particular type of information. So I'm honored to be here and to be an extension of you, and to give the people what they're looking for, and hopefully some tips and tools that will be able to help them. My name is Marsha Sherrill, and I have spent 38 years in corporate America. And California, mainly, I was at a major media company, and back in 2003, I started there in 1969. And in 2003, I was recruited to come here to work for another major media company, and the job was a lot larger job than what I had been doing. But what a privilege to be here in States, and I just happen to love living here. But, during those 38 years, there were certain things that I learned that I didn't realize I was learning. It was just being on the job and so on. And some of those things I'm going to give you because it may come as a surprise to use when you are leaving one job and going on to another, or becoming an entrepreneur and starting a whole new company and a whole new way of living. Just to share with you what my mission is. My mission is to motivate and empower people to envision, embrace, and ignite the power within to create a life of authenticity and success. And, I really do stress that success, because what's the point in being in business if you are not successful? The other thing is that being real with ourselves and with others complements and and creates the success that we are looking for in life. And so, as a Christian woman, that there is a vast opportunity to be part of the world and to maybe not present ourselves as honest or as upright or righteous as we would like. And there's a temptation there. But the greater gain is being authentic. And so I use that word in my mission, and I use that word in my work and in my life daily. That authenticity and gratitude are the two words that I really like to build my character on. So without any further ado, we can just move on here. I'm going to, it worked. It changed, the screen changed. So anyway, this is the first time I'm on Karen's. There's other type of software that is used where the software is a little bit different, and so it's my first one on Click Webinar. So, but this is good. So we're talking about a career change and transferable skills. That a career change could be anything that that in your life you've changed, either from job to job, or job to entrepreneur, or job to stay at home, or job to retire. And so it's whatever you call your career. And what skills can you use if you were to go apply them in a different field, in a different industry? Because all the time that if you leave one job, you may not be going to the same type of job in the same type of industry. So it's different. And so many people do not realize that they have transferable skills. And we'll talk further about that in just a moment. The agenda for today is career change. What do you really know? A global view of your skills, and that's, coming from maybe a 30,000 foot level and looking down, saying, what are your global skills? What are of those are transferable, and how do you identify them? That's important. And then there's questions that you would ask yourself. And then there's another portion here that's not on the agenda, but is a part of asking yourself, and that's digging a little bit deeper into gaining the knowledge or identifying what those skills might be. And these are things that I will have to tell you that I had to go through, myself when I left corporate America back in 2008. And it was a very hurtful time, I think, that walking away from a 38-year career, but there was some excitement about it too. And what I wanted to do was rest for a little while, and then just go out and get another job comparable to the one I had. But there was a rude awakening there, and that rude awakening was that in my particular industry is changing in the way it normally does business. I was in the newspaper business and working for Belo Corporation, one of its flagship newspapers, and that was the Dallas Morning News. And newspapers across the entire country, that entire industry is changing because of the internet, because of many other factors, but the paper piece of the newspaper, we can see maybe years and years down the road that it might be the dinosaur. So um, I had to change industries. And so when I was looking at a career change, I just thought, okay, well, I'm not retired. I'm not laid off. There was a voluntary and an agreed upon separation in my case. And no, I did not move geographical. But a career change could entail any one or a couple of those particular bullet points, and there might be other things as well. So now what happens is that you get to choose. You get to look for another job if that's what you want to do. You can become an entrepreneur, which is what I have done, and I will talk about that. And or you could stay retired. You could be retired and you can travel. That's not my story. That's not my luxury at this particular point in life. And or I could lay low for a while. So that's what I did. And what I meant by a while was maybe like a month or so. So it would be like a vacation. And during that time, I got my resume together and just wrote this fabulous resume and um, pumped up my LinkedIn presence and signed up on for Facebook and did other things that I could do, and I tried to sleep in, but that didn't work. So I realized that I'm not a sleep in kind of person. So anyway, so I did my resume, and I just figured that now I'll go out and get a job and start in a week or two. Again, that was not my story, and unfortunately, what was happening was that some of the people that were interviewing me were could be a grandchild of mine or a child of mine, and so to come in and with I didn't think I was coming in with boss attitude, management demeanor that come in that there was a disconnect on many occasions when I even walked in the door. But there were 3 different occasions where I nearly got the job, and one of them, I was waiting for was for a start date. The one thing, though, that I had to do was I had to dummy down my resume. I had to accept a salary pay that was a fraction of what I had become accustomed to being paid. And so that there were some concessions along those lines. The one thing, though, that I did not do was dummy down my experience. And so I had to delete some things and add some things onto my resume depending on the job I was applying for. Not an easy thing. It was also a very rude awakening that, I had to look at what was it that I know? What are my, I was talking to someone and they said, but Marsha, you have so many transferable skills. And of course I know what transferable skills are, but just to say that in conversation is one thing, but to actually sit down and put to paper what they are in a manner that was easily recognizable for me and for someone else. It had to be organized in a way that I could take that information and use it in a resume, that I could talk about it easily without having to think, well, wait a minute, what are my skills? And it wasn't sounds like an easy thing to do, but it did take some time to actually dig down into what do I really know. And and so with that particular idea in mind, I got some paper out and I had to ask myself, okay, so what is it that I do? And this is totally refined from how I started. I had pages and pages and pages things that I had written down, and I can look back on it. And the reason I smile is because I can say that a lot of that things I was doing, I was really getting down into the minute things that I did every day. And truth be told, that most of it was ego driven. And so I had to step back and say, let me just write down what I do and be precise, no explanations, just one or two words. When I go into the office, what is it that I do? Daily, weekly, monthly. And I will also say that my time spent in California and here was on the executive level. So a lot of the things that I did, I delegated. I had people that reported to me, managers and supervisors that reported to me, that I delegated a lot of work to, but I did a lot of work. And so what were those things that I did, not the delegating part, but what did I do? And so just one or two words of explanation, and that was it. The next thing was, what were my responsibilities? Now, what I do and what my responsibilities are may be two different things. And so what was I responsible for, people-wise? What were their job titles? What were the numbers? Was I responsible for budgets? Was I responsible for daily scheduling? Responsible for rates that we charged people for programs? What were my responsibilities? And again, I needed to be precise. I had to write down all the skills then at that point that it took for me to excel either in my daily doings and my responsibilities. What skill was my employer looking for me to get the job done? And so I wrote all of it down and I brainstormed. I didn't cross things off and say, no, that's too big. They'll never believe I ever did that. I didn't what we call fire hose it. I just wrote it all down um, and let it go, and then move on to the next step. The next step was then to set that aside, and then now I'm going to look at my skills on a global level. And for sake of of today's conversation, and also back when I was going through this time, that I had to look at frontline employees, what their skill sets were, and management skill sets. That there are two factions on any particular job. You have your frontline employees and you have your management. And so and the reason I started doing this particular and working on this particular frame of mind was I had to get rid of the myth in my head that because I'm moving on from this industry or this job, that I have to start all over again. So I'm going to be a frontline employee. And so that is not the truth. But what I did need is I needed the skill set. What was the skill set for the frontline employees and on the management side? So I had to get rid of that myth that, oh my gosh, I'm starting all over again like I'm 18, 19, 20 something years old, and I'm, just never going to make it in life. That's not what it is. I had to get back to the positive and look at what the skill set was. So on a frontline employee, I wrote down communication. I had to be able to talk to people. That was the job. And so in talking to people, that meant I also needed to be able to talk clearly, speak clearly, enunciate my words, and to get ideas across in an easy fashion. I had to do some typing, so there were some typing skills, spelling skills, sales skills, problem solving, slight technical skills, but technical skills nonetheless. And there were some industry-focused skills, not necessarily when you walk in the job and the first day that you're hired, but you had to be able to learn what the industry-focused skills were. And so I could add another bullet point down there, and that would be a fast learner. But how do you gauge that? So it's important that whatever it is that you put down, that you're able to gauge and measure it. On the management side, you'd have to include knowledge of or have the actual skill of the frontline employee. So all of those things plus team building, process improvement, conflict resolution. Whenever you're working with people, it doesn't matter. You have to have skill in conflict resolution. Training skills, whether you're a trainer or not, you need to have some type of a training skill. Project management, project development, interviewing, performance evaluations, and the one thing that I did not put on here was tracking and an employee's stay and documentation as far as termination goes. You have to be able to have the heart, if you will, or have the willingness to terminate at times. That does happen, and that's in the real world. So those are just a view of the skills from a high level, and so you can call them categories, if you will. So now we look at, well, what are the transferable skills? What can I do as far as these items on this this list? That how can I break them down into a transferable skill? Well, here's an exercise that I made up at the time, and I will tell you that it has gone through several iterations, that because at the time I was doing this, I was desperately looking for work. I was not knowing what to do next. Nobody was really actually hiring me. And like I say, I came close to 3 different times, and they all fell through. And so going through this particular exercise started out to be some big, vast, humongous project, and it has now whittled itself down into something that I can work with either in my entrepreneurship or talk about and teach. And so the exercise is to take each of the job responsibilities or the categories and break them down into a skill set. And I have on the next slide the example of customer service. I used customer service and how it can be sliced and diced to come up with, instead of just saying I'm great at customer service, that it can be broken down into several areas that involve skills. It's not an exhaustive list. It's just some ideas to get you to thinking. And so do we have a question here? Been an entrepreneur for a long time, but a growing entrepreneur for a few years. It was most frustrating for me going through these skill, frontline, and management lists. Do I, as a coach, walk a client through this tedious process? Yes, I do. Actually, yes, I do. And the reason that I walk them through that is that they need to know where they are and where they came from and where it is that they want to go. And so, but also the other part for me that was really important at the time that I was going through this is that I was depressed. I started feeling that nobody wanted me. I wasn't relevant in the business world anymore. I didn't feel like I was intelligent. I didn't feel like I knew very much. And it was important that I started writing down what I was good at. And so that helped build and lift my spirits. And it also, what it did, because now that they're transferable skills, I felt more comfortable going to an industry that I had never heard of. And then the thought came into my mind about coaching. I never thought about being an entrepreneur or starting my own business. But what I did know is that whenever I wrote down that coaching people and mentoring people, and then having the people that I walked away from at the newspaper still call me and ask for either advice or can I help guide them in a particular way, or um, review their job description or their resume. And so they're still asking me for help. And I realized then that, well, is there something to this coach thing? But yes, the answer to the question is absolutely. It is a tedious process, but it was one that ended up being so worthwhile, because with my particular clients, I also take them through, because I am a life purpose coach, I take them through a spiritual gift assessment that they find that what their transferable skills are, and their spiritual gift assessment, that they tend to line up a little bit, and I shouldn't say a little bit, they tend to line up as far as what it is they'd like to do and what they would like to do in their future and in their right now. So yes, absolutely, I do that. So with the skill set for the breakdown for customer service, or CRM is what is known in some industries around, and that's customer relationship management. And um, many times we have a customer service department, but the management over that department, or the supervisory staff um, over that particular group, can say that they're more into the customer relationship, that their rules and regulations or their mode of operation is more in developing the relationship. And so that's what I would train my management staff to train their reports on building relationship. And that's really, and actually, that's what life is all about. And any business that we're in, if it's successful, will pay more attention to the relationship that they're building with their clients, and that moves you further along the road to success. And that's a principle for sure. But anyway, back to the skill set breakdown: customer service, or CRM. Relationship building, number one. Problem solving, conflict resolution, retention. You might be in a business, or your own business as an entrepreneur, that you want to retain that client. And so with your relationship building and you want to retain them, then talk to them about what they want, develop a program for what they want, and then offer it to them. Don't sell it, but offer it to them. And thank them for the idea that you're in business to serve them. And so retention is very important here. So retention is another skill. Creative thinking, that you have to think, and I want to say outside of the box, but you have no reason to be in the box in the first place. So when you think outside of the box, that means that you're in the box to begin with, or your thinking is in the box. So creative thinking, period. Just look for things that uh, maybe no one is doing. Talk to your clients about what it is they want, and then involve others about what it is as far as a solution is concerned. We don't need to know it all. We just need to be skilled in how we present it. Risk management, that we also have to risk that some solutions that we come up with are not what the client wanted or not what the customer wanted. Maybe they wanted 100%, but you're willing to do 90, you're willing to do 70. And so you have to risk losing that client by standing by your solution. If your solution is a good solution, then not all people are your clients. Not all people are supposed to be with you. Not all customers need to be on your, if you're on Facebook, on your timeline. And so if that's the case, then you have to risk it. But just know that, that it is a skill. Creative thinking is a skill. Retaining clients and customers is a skill. Conflict resolution. And that could be a conflict between the entrepreneur, you, and a client. It could be between the company that you work for and a client. And or it could be, if you're in a management type position, it could be between employees. And so to bring the employees in and to have all parties involved and working on a conflict resolution, that, you know, we can break that conflict resolution down into, you have to be able to listen and read between the lines of what's really going on here. And so that is a gift and it is a skill. Problem solving is another skill. Relationship building is another skill. So you can take that one global skill or skill set and customer service and break it down into where I have 6 here, and there's probably even more that can be added to it. So I'm just doing a snapshot and some tips and tools on the path to take. And so hopefully I'm sparking some kind of thinking on your part where you can say, oh yeah, I can add this and I can add that and I can add. And so hopefully that's what's happening. Now, I've talked you through it. Now for the people that are visual, I'll show a little visual map here and have the customer service and CRM in the middle and how it links out to all those other areas on the outside. You can add as many as you want, but be sure that when you start adding down the breakdown of the skill of the global skill set, that you're good at what you're doing, that you don't want to say that, you know, you're the best, you know, you sharpen pencils really good, but the points always break. Well, if you're not really good at it, don't put it down, because you might find that the job they hire you for, that's exactly what you're going to be in charge of. So just make sure that you are comfortable with what you're putting down and that you're good at it. You don't have to be expert at it. You can just be good at it and put it down anyway. That is a skill. It is still a skill. The next slide is questions to ask. And these particular questions are to help you dig a little bit deeper into beyond the daily, weekly, monthly, beyond that. And to spark some memories. And it doesn't have to be that these are things that you have done in your immediate job. It could be something that you did in one of your job responsibilities a few years ago. It could be something that you did for a period of time, 2 or 3 months, 6 months. But the point is that you still did it, and it is a skill. Did you coach or mentor any employees or people? Is that what you do in your job or your business? Do you lead a team? Did you put your team together? And in putting your team together, did you interview people? Did you what was your selection process? One over another one, if they came in really close. I know you more than likely did not draw straws. But what was your method of choosing and picking the team, either in your business or leading a team and choosing the team on your job? Did you train people? Did you document training manuals? Did you document process manuals? Did you distribute? Did you write your training programs? Um, Again, to spark some thoughts in your mind. Did you sell? Were you a salesperson? Did you sell tangible products? Did you sell non-tangibles like value propositions, ideas for improvement? And when we ask these particular things, and especially in the area of selling, that selling is a form of customer service. And so you may not have sold a product to a client or a customer, but you did sell your boss on an idea. You did sell your employees to come and join in and have input into a new project that you're working on in order to get their buy-in and their consensus. Um, you put out there as an entrepreneur that you put out information either on flyers, or you have your events, or you have a service that you sell, and you put that out there that it's going to make somebody's life better. And when you sell the non-tangibles, what you're selling is actually that this particular thing is going to transform your life in such a way. And so you're selling a transformation. So you're not selling a car, you're not selling a book, you're not selling a computer, but it's the non-tangibles. And so if you think of it like that, that those are all skill sets that is something that you could put down, that you came up with the idea to do a particular project on the job, or and you birthed it, you implemented it, and you watched it, and then this is how successful it became. And so don't let those things go by the wayside. They are extremely important, especially in today's environment, either on the job or as an entrepreneur. Are you on LinkedIn? This is another good one. If you're on LinkedIn, what skills do you list? They now have those list of skills where people endorse you and so on. What skills do you list? All of those should be as a part of your skill set that is transferable. Look at them and see what is transferable. Now, if you were a newspaper delivery person, you may not put down on your paper that you're very skilled at getting the newspaper on the porch. But if you were working for the Rangers, the baseball team, you say that you have a good right arm and you can throw the ball, and so you're good at on the practice field working with the team members. So you can still put it as a skill, but if it's industry specific. And so if it is industry specific, be very careful about what resume you put it on, because that's the other thing too, is that you don't just have one resume. You have a custom resume for just about any job that you are applying for. You have a few of these interchangeable transferable skills that you want to put on your website as far as getting people to come in and hire you for whatever it is that you're expert doing. So what skills are on LinkedIn? What skills are listed by other people in your same field, by colleagues that are in your field? Take a look at their skill sets and see what they have listed down. Or maybe it might be a job that you see, or something that you are an entrepreneur, that you're starting a business. You can go into LinkedIn and look up entrepreneurs or the field of business that you're looking for, and look at those people. What are they putting down as far as their skill sets are concerned? Can you do any of those? Do any of those apply to you? And then you ask yourself, well, what are you missing? And then you add that up and you close that particular gap. And so by now you have um, paperwork that says that you have all these particular skills. All these skills are transferable. And one question that I did get at one time was, do I put everything on my resume? Well, no, you don't put everything on your resume. Your resume should be as precise. Somebody that has a resume, this is what they're going to look at. They're going to look at the resume, and then they're going to look at the second page. They're going to go back to the first page. They're not going to read a book. They're not going to read. When I was doing the interviewing and I'd look at resumes, anything beyond the 3 pages or 2 pages, I would not even look at. I would look at their skill. I would look where they worked. I would look how long they've been in the working field. I'd go back to their skills again, and in that skills set would be what would determine whether I would have the HR department set up an appointment to meet or not. So you want to take out some skills for certain resumes and add other ones in there, but at least you've done all the homework. You have all the homework that you have as far as transferable skills to apply to any of the resumes for any of the jobs that you're applying for, or that you can put on your flyers for whatever event you're going to. It could be speaking topics, that some of these ideas might become speaking topics, especially if you are an entrepreneur that is a speaker. One of your skills would be communication, and you would have the skill of entertaining, that you would be entertaining on a stage talking to someone. Well, you can take any of these type of global skills and you can break them down into webcasts. You can break them down into podcast, or expound on them and talk, make it a topic for an event where you're going to be the speaker. So you can, and then what you can do is you can add them to the similar ones and talk about 3 or 4 different things during one particular, falling under one particular topic. So this list that you are developing is not just for the resume. It's not just for starting a business or becoming an entrepreneur. It's actually that this is your life. These are the things that you know. These are the things that has made up your experience. And so your experience is important. And the longer you live, the more you learn, the more experience you have. Somebody in the world needs what you have, whether it is in corporate, on the job, whether it is in your own business as an entrepreneur, or whether it's just somebody in your ministry, because any of these things can be used in ministry as well. So I certainly don't want to eliminate that. So I hope I've given you several things that you can, that would get your juices flowing, that you would be able to use. But here are some valuable tips. And I know that this is being recorded, so there would be a time where you can either come back to the recording on Karen's website or not. The one other thing that I did want to mention before I ask for questions would be one book that really helped me out greatly in the past year of having my business. I've been in business now for about 3 years. I did a lot of research prior to that time. I really launched and started consulting about 3 years ago. It's been about 3 years ago. And then I started, my business started to transition into more of, I still do corporate training and whatnot, and leadership development, but it's turned more into group coaching, one-on-one type coaching, writing, and speaking. But the one thing that I did want to know was that, okay, so I have all my experience here, but but what are my strengths? What is it that I really excel at that I don't know? And so there was a book that I found, and I hope you can see it here. It's called Strengths Finders by Tom Rath. And this is Strengths Finders 2.0. And in this particular book, they did give a test out in the back that you had to, let's see if I can put that here. Like in the back, they gave you a test, and you can actually look for it online, and it's www.strengthsfinder.com. And you can take that test, and you can find out what it gives you 5 skills of what your strengths are. And it's just really an amazing test that I took. It took, about an hour or so to do that, and I had mine here, but I'm not finding them at the moment. So, but anyway, that it was just an awesome test to take, and I know that I am a maximizer. I maximize my skill, and or whatever it is that I'm doing, I maximize it to the limit. Um, So, but anyway, it's just an amazing test to take if you want to go deeper to find out what your strengths are. And you can include that on your website, that this is what your strengths are. And actually, when you get testimonials, you can take one of your strengths and ask people to give you a testimonial based on 1 or 2 of those particular strengths. And that's what I have done, because I found out that when you ask people for a testimonial, that they could be all over the board saying a lot of great things about you, but none of them are focused. If you want focused testimonials, you get your 5 strengths and you ask them, can you talk about how I was able to help you break through from point A to get to point B, or how I maximize your life by, and then have them fill in the blanks and talk about that. So anyway, that was StrengthsFinder 2.0 from Tom Rath, if you want to go deeper. And again, my name is Marsha, and here's my contact information. I am a life purpose coach, speaker, and author. You can contact me at info@marshasherrill.com. You can see my website, which is in transition. It's being updated as we speak, marshasherrill.com. If you want to know a little bit more about me, there's 2 books that I published this year as co-author of both books, and one of them, the first one being Rock Bottom is a Beautiful Place, Living Your Calling. And I am so passionate about people living their calling, not just in a dead-end job or doing what they don't want to do, that that we're here and we only get one chance at this, and it's called life. And so why not live our purpose? Why not live our destiny? And my rock bottom, one of the many in my entire life, was feeling and getting depressed about not being relevant in the world anymore, and no one wanting to hire me, either because of my age or because they couldn't pay me or because whatever their reasons were. That I took that and I internalized it, and it brought a depression. But out of that depression came my business, and life has been, I would love to tell you that it's been a bed of roses ever since, but it has not. It's been really hard, but I will tell you this, that I have a purpose, and I live for that purpose on a day-to-day basis. And because of that, I keep going. I don't quit, and I am relevant, and I am needed in this world. That my testimony, I have learned, is not just for me. It's for me to take it, internalize it, and help others with what I know. My second book is Behind Her Brand, and it's a book for entrepreneurs. And several women had been interviewed on how they started their business, what were the steps they took, how did they find out that that was the right business for them. And it's in interview format, and it really helps people that are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or it's for people that are entrepreneurs that might be stuck, or new entrepreneurs. And it gives a lot of tips and tools on what really being an entrepreneur is all about. And I will tell you that starting your own business is not for sissies, that it is something that I believe that God has a special place in his heart for entrepreneurs and our drive and our vision and our life. Because what we do is that we are here to help others. And what other gift is that other than giving our testimony and and actually living for Christ? And I'm not ashamed to say it, and that's what it is that I do. So I'm going to open it up now for questions. I do see that there was another question here on the board. As a coach, do you help people develop their resumes? No, that's not one of the things that I do. Um, People that I know and that I have worked with as far as friends or former coworkers, that they've had me look over their resumes, and I've helped